Hey guys, Abby here from Ballerians by Night. And I just want to do a short update today. If you've been following like my personal Instagram, you may have seen that I've been talking about having some Achilles pain. And I had some Achilles pain starting in December. I took myself out of kind of extra releves and jumps for a while, and point work. That was the biggest thing. I took a couple of months off point. And my Achilles pain has definitely improved. It's pretty much back to normal now. Every once in a while I kind of feel it, and I don't really know what I did to start it other than I've just been working differently. Like I've really been working on my alignment and where I'm holding myself and how I'm holding myself. I think that's been changing how I just kind of utilize all my leg muscles, especially my calf muscles. And my calves are already so, they're very large and they get really tight. So I think that just has affected my Achilles. And I've been trying to stretch and foam roll and all that kind of stuff. When I went back to Pointe recently, I've been wearing Suffolks, and they're reasonably good for me. They're reasonably good shoes, but I still I feel like I've been fighting them a little bit. And especially my left shoe, I was like, I feel like I'm not getting over my box in my left shoe, which is not normal for me. So I finally went recently and got some Block Dramaticas, which are the stretch satin split soles. Like I see them on students and I'm like, like I wonder what those are like. They looked really interesting to me. And I was a block girl, when I was training. I think my very first shoes were Grishkos, and I wore Grishkos for a while. And of course, especially in that day and age, like Grishkos were just kind of like dancing with a rock around your foot. Like they were so stinking hard, but they also, they helped you get really strong. They were very, very good supportive shoes, but I never felt like I could shape my foot in them like I wanted. So then I moved on to Block Signature Rehearsals, and I was a Block Signature Rehearsal girl. I mean, back when I went back to dancing from like 07 to 2010, I was still in them and I could still get them, and then somewhere along the way they discontinued them. And all the other blocks I tried, I could just never find something that worked for me like that. When I started seeing the split soles come out in the stretch satin, I was like, that's really intriguing. But I'd heard mixed things about them. So it's kind of like, maybe they're kind of hyped. I would definitely say they're not a beginner shoe. I don't know that I would ever put a beginner in the split soles because they feel amazing when I'm up. And I think that's what I like about them, is I'm able to get up over them really well. But I can definitely tell it's almost like you're not wearing a point shoe, in the sense that your foot really has to do all the work. And in that sense, there is something really good about them, because just the way that I'm working through my foot is amazing. Like I have to really use my foot. Wearing them for just like regular classwork, for tendus and dégagés and stuff like that, and I've been trying to jump in them to build strength, and that's really shown me where I've been and maybe not landing my jumps the best in my flat shoes, because I'm really good about putting my heel down, and I really try and work through my feet and my jumps. But then I can also tell when I'm in point shoes, like just how I'm not using my foot as much when I'm in flat shoes, because point shoes require a lot more to like get all the way down, all the way up stretched. I'm just working still really, really slowly. I do a beginner point class every week, which I had been off of for a while. And so I've had like 2 classes back, and man, I love really being back in a beginner point class, because it's just basics and strengthening, and that's what I really feel like I need. So it's been excellent. So I'm feeling really good to finally like feel like I have a shoe that actually works for me. Like I've been through something like 20 shoes recently, like in the past few years, trying to figure out like a shoe that will work for me. And I think these may be it. Like I hope so. I still have to work in them more and see how they continue to go. But right now I'm really, really liking them. So next thing is, you know, it's been my son's competition season and everything went really well with that. We only did 2 this year and one of them was local and he was in the 11 to 12-year-old age category. So he was at the bottom of the age category and we were not sure how that was gonna go, being up against people about to turn 13. He was still up against them. He did that competition and ended up first overall in the entire category. And there were like 4 hours of competitors. He went on and on and on and on and on. And he got first overall. And I was really, really, really super proud of him. He did his classical and his contemporary. It was his classical that got him the first overall. So really stinking proud. And I think, you know, I hadn't even really seen him dance in months. What I did this year, if you've been following the channel, you know we moved for his training. My husband's still 3 hours away during the week and we split time and it's really, really hard. We're all sacrificing, we're all giving up a lot. This year I just kind of like turned his classes over to him, would just kind of drop him off and pick him up. And it was just kind of like, this is your deal. However hard you go in and work is how hard you go in and work. Whatever you do is what you do. If you want to do dancing, then, you know, you go do it and we'll see you later. We'll pay for it. We'll pay the bills and we'll get you there. And that's kind of it. But you know, when I was training and I was at a studio, you know, where I was with my mom, as much as I really like treasure the times that I got to dance with my mom, I know that I didn't make anywhere near the progress I made once I got into a place that was more mine. You know, people will ask me sometimes, they're like, well, you know, you're kind of teaching and dancing at, you know, one studio sometimes. And I mean, I do dance and teach at his studio some, but I tried to create more separation for him this year so that he would really feel like that studio was his, not like mine, and he's just kind of there as well. I wanted to walk in there and have it be like, oh, you're Horace's mom, not have Horace always walk around going like, oh, you're Abby's son. I feel like that's worked really well for him. I think he's just thriving. It's been hard. It's been really hard. He started out the year having to go back and relearn basics, and it was tedious for him and not the most fun. And I knew that he was gonna have to go do that at some point. It's like every dancer, you know, you come up through your studio, but when you really get on a pre-professional track, a lot of times it's very common for dancers to have to go back and fix technique and really get everything just a certain way. He's now training Cuban method, which is phenomenal. And his growth has just been phenomenal, but it's different. And so he's had to learn, you know, their way of doing things. And now he's just really taking off. And you can really see that he's on his way to being employable, and that's really his goal, is to go pro and get married. And so I think he's really getting there with it and coming along beautifully. Like, he's farther than I think we could have ever imagined he would be at this age. And especially just now, his weakness was always just kind of his technique and his classwork and his plies and his tendus, and now that's more his strength, which is weird but wonderful. And we're just really excited to see where he goes in the next year. So he went to that competition, got first overall out of everybody, and then went to YGP. And you know, YGP Houston this year was tough. It was tough competition. There were a ton of people there. It was huge. I heard that it was like the largest regional, or certainly one of the largest regionals. The judges were tough, the scoring was tough, and he got top 12 in both classical and contemporary, and there was no boys division for his age category. And he's very ready to jump up to junior boys and be, you know, just scored against the other males, because it's very, very hard for the boys to go up against the females. And it's apples and oranges, which is what I think is a little bit frustrating about it, is it's very hard to score boys against girls. You know, I worked out at one competition, it didn't work out, you know, for the very like top awards at the other competition. But, you know, there were some really, really, really amazing competitors. And, you know, I wanted him to see, you know, how it went against the really top girls. So I was really proud for top 12 in both, because that was really tough. You know, it's hard sometimes with ballet competitions. You know, I've done videos about ballet competitions, and I've been a huge advocate for competition, because I do think the process and the growth that the students get through learning the variations and getting the coaching can be really essential for some students. I think it can be something that really helps some students propel themselves to the next level. Whereas when, you know, you don't always get that, sometimes you just don't see how big the dance world is, you know, outside of your studio and where you kind of are. And also I think the privates and the coaching and the training can really bring students along. I love watching that process. I saw, you know, across several studios this year, a lot of students just really grow so much through that process that it was just amazing. And it has nothing to do with the outcome of it and the awards. And I think it's really important to remember with ballet competitions that it's still completely subjective. You know, this isn't a race. There's not like a clear winner. Like if you have a race, you can see who wins, and there's no question about it. With ballet, you know, in my son's division, you know, I could see like 6 to 8 that I was like, all of those are really, really strong competitors. Like they're all at the top. And when you're looking at like a top 3, it's like it could go either way. Some of my picks, you know, when you're kind of like, oh, you know, who do I think is gonna get up there? Who might get this award? You know, some of the ones that I thought were really super strong, you know, got the same thing he did, top 12 in both, which is still, like I say, amazing. But it's not always just a clear-cut thing. But he got a full scholarship to Next Generation Ballet in Florida. And unfortunately, like, we really appreciate Philip Neal. He gave great comments and he offered that to him. And we're not going to take it this year because he is only 11. We're already paying for 2 places to live. And we're trying to be really careful about additional finances. And I feel like he needs to continue where he is quite a bit longer and really get his foundation and understand how they're training him. And I think they're taking him on a certain path and a certain progression that I want him to continue with for quite a while until we start to break out and go do other things. I have no doubt in a few years, you know, when he's 14, you know, he's gonna be able to go wherever and take off and go. I want him to be adaptable and I want him to be able to go do other things other places. But right now, I think it's really important that he get his foundation laid. So yeah, our summer is gonna be here. I love living in San Antonio. I love where I am. I love what we're doing. Like, life right now is just so, I'll say easy. Like, I feel in control of my life, which is really nice. And it's been a while since I felt like that. So I'm really enjoying that. And I think we're just gonna have a relatively easy summer because I know I can take him to his summer intensive that's 5 minutes away and drop him off and know that he's getting what he needs, and that's great. I'm continuing to dance and I'm really hoping to share more pointe work with you guys. Like, I'm not very good at remembering to film myself during class, and I don't, like, the opportunities are hard trying to find studio space, and I get really exhausted in class, and so by the time it's over I'm like so sweaty and so gross and so nasty, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go film. But I do want to work up a variation, thinking maybe Queen of the Dryads. We'll see how that goes. And you saw the video about Kristen leaving, which is, you know, for me, it's still sad. There's just something like comforting for me to know that Janet and Kristen are up there together, because Kristen we were in the same place for a while and then she went straight up to Oklahoma, and she and Janet have been friends up there. So I kind of like my 2 ballet friends that I don't get to be around anymore, but there's just comfort knowing that they're they're together. So there's this huge sadness, like feeling that she's going, and that I just can't think in my head that they're up there hanging out together and dancing together. You know, we're all just like wishing her the best, and I'm gonna miss her a lot, even though I miss her already. I'm gonna miss that she's up there with Jana. Our group on Facebook, Ballerians by Night on Facebook, we're over 1,000 members. So come find us and come join us. It's been a really great community, and I feel like everyone's getting a lot out of it. You know, I don't jump in, respond to every question, but other people generally do. Everything's been really supportive so far. It's a wonderful group. So come join us there if you haven't already. I am hoping to get back to making more technique videos. That's next on the agenda for me. Keep with us here and hit subscribe. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course here on YouTube, and anywhere else we are. Our blog. Follow our blog because we do have some really good stuff there. We have Find an Intensive, Find a Studio, so much information, as well as technique tips and thoughts and different things like that. So I've missed you guys. I feel like I haven't been on the channel in a while, but everything's just rolling along and busy and great, and we will talk to you all soon. Bye.